Morning everyone, and welcome back to the Runpreneur vlog, where we discuss all things entrepreneurship and running. It is a relatively fresh morning. It's about 7 degrees, so not too cold, not too breezy, a bit dull for a Monday morning, but there we go. And it's a Monday motivation today, where we talk all things productivity, motivation, things to really kickstart you and your productivity levels. And today's topic is how to implement productivity short hacks. It's a question by Sanjay Patel from the Runpreneur Community. So, as always, if you like this episode, please give it a like and a subscribe, and let's get started. So, implementing productivity shortcuts. Okay, it's a good question, and I think I probably know why it's been asked. I think as a student of productivity hacks, if you like, there's so many of them. They're all brilliant, they're all amazing, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're brilliant and amazing for you. And I think what the key point here is productivity is not a destination, it's a journey. Okay, it's we go back to the kind of Dave Brailsford analogy of when he took over Team Sky. You know, British cyclist won a Tour de France for God knows how long, and he just gets them coming through like a conveyor belt, and he puts it down to marginal gains. And that's so what he means by marginal gains is the teeny tiny little things that you can do, which can give you a teeny tiny improvement. But if you do lots of them, compounded over time, they'll result in significant advancement. And that's ultimately what he did to the pillows that they slept on, the mattresses they slept on, you know, all these little nuances that so many people wouldn't even look into. He did all the research on each and every one of them, on how he can get a little edge in every area. And I think you need to look at productivity in a similar way. And so what I imagine is everybody wants to be more productive. They read up on a bit of productivity, or you know, an article of some kind that they've come up against, or they've watched a video episode of someone talking about how productive they are. And they go, right, I'm going to do this. They do it, and then they find that it just doesn't fit in with their life or way of doing things, so that they quit, and then ultimately they stop trying to enhance their productivity levels. And so the first message here is that you need to test different things of what works for you. There will be different things you'll be doing from a productivity standpoint that will fit perfectly with your lifestyle, and there'll be others that couldn't be more of an inconvenience. A prime example is time tracking. Now, I know, having coached 150 odd clients on systems and outsourcing over the past 3 years, that time tracking is something that's so important to understand your habits and what you do, but so many people are resistant to it. But then you get the odd one who love it and will swear by it and will continue to do it because they've just integrated it into their way of life. And the people that do it, you know, have like a little app shortcut or something to be able to do that. So there's a prime example there. Time tracking. I don't time track every day. I'll do it maybe 2 or 3 times a year for a couple of weeks. That's kind of the run rate that I'll do time tracking, just to check that I'm not falling into bad habits. That's ultimately what I do it for, it's a checking mechanism. But some people do it every day without fail because they find it so beneficial, and that's absolutely fine. So hopefully that's giving you a little bit of an answer on where to start. You need to find something that fits with you. So if time tracking is just not working, don't worry about it. There'll be other things you can do. Like the one that's a good one though, that I think that everybody should do, is understand where their energy levels, you know, peak and trough. And what I mean by that is that we only have X amount of energy every day. Yeah, we can manipulate it a little bit by depending on consumption of alcohol, consumption of caffeine. They can have impact on our energy levels over the course of time. Morning. But still, you know, over the course of time, there will be a pattern or a routine to your energy levels. And I would say start there. And what you do, I know I'm just contradicting myself here by saying that if you don't want to time track, don't time track. But just for a week or two, just make a log of your energy peaks and troughs, okay? And the reason you do that is that just by understanding that information, so I know, for example, that first thing in the morning, my energy's low. so I come out for a run. But I know that kind of 10:30, 11 o'clock time, my energy's high, right the way through to lunch. Then after lunch I have a lull until about mid-afternoon, so mid to late afternoon, so usually 4 o'clock till 6 o'clock I'm super productive again. And then I'll lull again, and then I can often peak again kind of 9, 10 o'clock at night. Okay, so I have highs and lows throughout the day, but I've tracked that and I understand that, and I know the impact of sleep and all those side of things that kind of help with that. But now I know when my highs and lows are. I come out of my run with my energy levels low because it kick-starts my day. Okay, and then when I get back, I focus on high level work. So I know that during my high energy levels, I'm focusing on the most purposeful work in my world. Okay, now if you just focused on low energy levels, using it for like admin, buffer, exercise, things that you don't, I know exercise and low energy is not one you put together, but believe you me, just getting yourself out there and exercise kickstarts your energy levels again. So really, really good to do in your low energy states, just from my experience. And then focus on the high performing stuff or the high important stuff at your high level, high energy levels. And you look at the compounding impact over the course of time when your productivity levels will be huge. So that I'd recommend you do for everyone. All the other little strategies like the rules and things and like time blocking, I time block because I don't like feeling overwhelmed. It stops me feeling overwhelmed when I have an agenda for the day and it doesn't look crazy. Some people love it, some people hate it. I find it really good, so I do it. Eisenhower's prioritisation matrix, urgent, important, urgent, not important, urgent, not important, not urgent. Some people use that. I've used it in the past, but I've since switched to order by project. So rather than important, urgent, I have a project hierarchy, and I work through things in order of the most important project or goal to the least important or goal. That's how I work. But it's a prioritisation mechanism. So I think a prioritisation mechanism is crucial. Which one you go for is, again, it's up to you. Some people do, I think staying focused on the number of projects and goals you worked on is key. You could use Warren Buffett's 5-25 rule. Look at all the 25 things you want to get accomplished, pick out the top 5, delete the rest. Simple, okay? Don't focus on any more than 5. A lot of evidence suggests 3 to 7 is absolute max of projects you can be focusing on at any given point in time. A project is something that takes more than one task in a sequence to accomplish. So that's what the definition of a project. So if it's one task, it's not a project. If it's a task that can be broken down into multiple steps, it is a project. Okay, so you'd normally have year-long, long-term goals, year-long goals, quarterly goals, generally kind of how you'll break things down. Some people might have daily or weekly goals as well. You can break it right down as low as that. But nobody should ever be working on, for whatever time period, any more than 3 to 7. Okay, really, really important to kind of understand that. So we've talked about energy levels, we've talked about, then the potential of focusing by how many projects or goals you work on. We've then talked about a prioritisation mechanism, so, how you can kind of use Eisenhower's matrix, or you can use, the project hierarchy system that I use to kind of make sure that you're not overwhelmed. And then you need I use time blocking to kind of keep myself, from being overwhelmed, because I just look at what I've got on for that given day. I don't look too far ahead because I've planned in advance. If I looked at my 200 or plus tasks on my list, it'd be overwhelming. But because I'm only looking at like 7 or 8 or so on a day, or whatever I'm looking to accomplish in the course of a day, I don't get overwhelmed. I feel if I accomplish that, it's great. So that's often something that can help significantly, is managing your workload. Then you've got, if you work with teams of people, you need to have some form of mechanism to manage them effectively, pure and simply. Otherwise you think, oh great, I'm outsourcing lots of stuff off to my team, which is great. However, if you haven't got an effective way of managing them, you can spend your life micromanaging them as opposed to doing stuff for you and moving forward with your goals and targets. So, when I talk about productivity, using people is a super important one. Building a team, automation is another way, and identifying these little areas where you can free yourself up to focus on more of your time on the higher priority stuff. So this is kind of outsourcing 101. So I'll talk a little bit about this, but it's more outsourcing than productivity. Productivity and outsourcing are linked, yes, but if you're a one-man band and you don't have the resources to bring in people, then this is kind of irrelevant at this moment in time until you do start having the financial resource to bring in people. But outsourcing is key. You think the compounding impact of having a team of people. You know, I talk about the 3 things to scale and grow a business. Number 1 is processes and systems. Most people have these already. Unfortunately, they're in the business owner's head rather than in a tangible format, but that's a different discussion altogether. Number 2 is people. Okay, you need people if you're going to grow and scale a business. And number 3 is data. Okay, so people are an important one, a super important one in terms of growing and scaling a business. And the sooner you can bring people in, the better, in my opinion. But you need to do it in a financially sustainable way. So I've covered a few bases here. Hopefully, I've answered the question in terms of how you can implement productivity shortcuts. Is number 1, understand that you don't have to implement every one. Number 2, start at the kind of top and work down this process. Understand your energy levels first. I think that's a really, really important one. Just by doing that, you'll see a significant return on your time spent on a productivity standpoint. So really, really important one is that. Number 2, you're then looking at focus and not taking on too much. You take on too much, you'll procrastinate or you'll be overwhelmed and you won't move forward on anything you're doing. So no more than 3 to 7 projects or goals for any given time period. So whether you're looking at daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, yearly, whatever that is, you should never have more than 3 to 7 on each of those sections, okay? So you don't get overwhelmed. And then you need a prioritization metric to obviously identify which is important and which isn't. You then need to manage your own personal schedule to ensure that it works and it's succinct. If you have the resources, bring in people and get rid of the low level tasks off your plate so you can spend more of your time on the high important ones, and watch your productivity levels kick on beyond belief. So, hope that's answered the question. I do go on about each of these kind of topics I've said in more detail in different episodes in my vlog, but hopefully that's answered your question on how you can get started and the kind of plan that I would follow to implementing productivity shortcuts. And the other thing I would say is only do one at a time. Don't try and do all at the same time because you won't do them properly. One at a time and gradually implement it. Once it's implemented, keep on it until it's a habit. Once it's a habit, we normally say 67 days or so to reinforce something to become a habit over a course of time. So do it for that period of time, whether it's weekly, daily, or however frequent you're doing it, but do it for the 67 days to become a habit. Then start on the next one and the next one, and just drop them in, stack them in on that basis. But on the basis that you've reinforced them by making them a habit, it means that you're going to continue doing them rather than do something for a period of time then drop it further down the line. So I hope that's useful. As always, if you've got any questions, please drop me a comment. I'll respond to everyone. If it's a bigger question, I'll do a separate blog episode and tag you in. If this is irrelevant information to you, just unfollow me on your social feeds. It will stop cluttering your news feeds up. But you don't have to unfriend me, just unfollowing will do the job. But do check out the Runpreneur YouTube channel as I do a different topic on each day of the week. So just because today's topic may not be relevant, tomorrow or the day after may be very relevant. So do check that out, and it's also sorted nice and neatly by topic in playlist format, so it's easy to find stuff that's relevant to you. Also check out the links in my bio. I'm starting to launch podcast, blog, lots of other free resources and stuff I'm putting in there as well, so check that stuff out. All accompanies the vlog, hopefully help you on your journey. And all that's left to say is the Runpreneur vlog was set up to help entrepreneurs and business owners overcome the emotions of stress, overwhelm and anxiety by using exercise, or in my case running, as a release valve or release mechanism to kind of process and relieve those daily pressures or weekly pressures in the form of stress. Okay, if you don't have that release valve to process this information, it's really difficult to remain clear and have clarity on where you're going, analyse what's gone on, kind of make decisions based on what's been happening. If you don't have that time, the pressure will build up and build up, and it builds up in the form of stress, and it builds up like pressure does in a pipe. The pressure will build and build and build. If you haven't relieved the stresses, they turn into overwhelm as you have too much then on to process. As soon as you start getting overwhelmed, you procrastinate, nothing kind of happens then, and you start to panic. Panic then results in anxiety, and anxiety attacks and panic attacks can kind of happen, which is a really, really bad place to be from a mental health standpoint. And ultimately, in that scenario, the pipe bursts. Too much pressure in it, it bursts. And the net result of that is either you, the entrepreneur or the business owner, has a breakdown, or the business has a breakdown. And either of those scenarios is going to be pretty terminal to the likelihood of your business lasting the test of time. Now, I've been there. I've lost multiple businesses because of my inability to process and manage these emotions. I've lost multiple business partners, and I've almost been bankrupt. And it's all heavily linked to my mismanagement of these emotions that every single one of us experiences. And there's no coincidence that in the last 8 to 9 months of doing this vlog and running every day, where this is my release mechanism, that I've made more progress than I have in the previous 4 years. And like I say, I've been into workplaces and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So my pledge to you is that if you are somebody who's struggling with this, drop me a message. There's no catch here, I'm not selling you anything. We'll jump on a call and I'll give you some hints and tips of stuff that I've done in my life that have made a monumental difference to me, that I'm pretty sure transferable to each and every one of you. And by helping you with these steps, hopefully we can get you back on the right path. And several of you who've taken me up on this already, I know have made some big positive steps forward. And I always said that if this vlog just saves one entrepreneur or one business, it's been 1,000,000% worthwhile. So don't struggle with entrepreneurial pride, reach out, help is there. It doesn't cost the world either. It doesn't cost anything in most instances if you're prepared to ask. So on that basis, I'll leave you with, if you like this episode, please give it a like, a comment and a subscribe. If you want to see more similar content, do check out the playlist link on the YouTube channel. And all that's left to say is stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you tomorrow.